This time I want to show you how to convert base 2 numbers into the base 10 equivalent. So we are going from binary to decimal. Decimal, the same word that's what we would call base 10, and binary is what we would call base 2. So I'd write a 2 down there just to remind everybody I'm dealing with a base 2 number, right? Okay, so here's the easy and quick steps to do conversions. Number 1, and this is kind of a silly step, but we do it anyway. Write a number 1 on top of leftmost. Wow, I don't know on top of rightmost digit. Okay, so let's go to the right, not the left. We write a number 1 up here. Number 2, we double that number as we go left. So what do I mean by that? Okay, so I'm going to head left. I'm going to, above this number, this is the 2's place. And above this number, this is the 4's place. 8's, 16, 32, 64, 128. All right, so I wrote those numbers. Now they don't mean anything yet, but I wrote them. Number 3, circle the numbers above the 1's. Okay? In other words, the ones that have 0 have no value to us because 0 times anything is 0. If I was to say, hey, what's the number 530 in base 10? And I was to say, how many 1's are there? You would say, well, there's no 1's. That's, it's 0. It's the same thing in base 2. 0 is still 0. So 0 means nothing. So I would cross this one off. Now, the way I just wrote it over here was I should circle these. So you could do it either way, cross off the 0's or circle the ones with value. This one happens to have more 1's than 0's in it, but that might not always be the case. Okay? So I've circled them. Now what am I going to do with the ones that I've circled? Add up the circled numbers. Okay? So all I have to do now is a little math problem. 128 plus 16 plus 8 plus 4 plus 1. Add those up. This is where you can get out a calculator and do this. That's no problem. The way I do it is I look for patterns and I kind of add things up. So 16 and 4 is 20, and I've used those. 8 and 8 is 16 plus 1 is 17, so I've got 17. And then, well, now that starts to get confusing, right? But 7, I carried 3, I've used all these numbers up, and I do 5, and I do 1. So my weird way of doing math, I got 157. Let me try that one more time and see if I can do that using regular math. See, as soon as I start doing this, in my head I start adding it. So 128, sure, I'll write that down. 16, sure, I'll write that down. 8 and 4 and 1, I know that in my head. 8 plus 4 plus 1 is 13. So I never want to write down all those numbers. It just takes too long. 4, 7, carry the 1. Oh, look at this, I was right. 3, 4, 5. See, I confused myself the last time I did it. But 157. So this number, which I randomly wrote on the board, is 157 in base 10, and it's 1001101 in base 1. 2 in base 2. And so that's how you do it. These are the 4 steps. That's all you need to do. And if you can understand how to write the number 1 over here and double it, one mistake people make is they skip one of these numbers as they're doubling along. They just forget one. So as long as you're careful on writing those numbers, as long as you are careful of only including the ones that have a 1 equivalent to them, and as long as you're careful with your math, unlike me sometimes, you'll get the right number. It's not hard to do. It's just a matter of discipline and focus of making sure you don't make any silly math mistakes. All right, so that's how you convert base 2 binary numbers to base 10 decimal numbers.